Alright folks, first leg of the journey, 2024 black bear hunt. So I'm heading to a spot. Had a bunch of buddies helping me out on this, give me some spots to go check. And for the first few days, probably most of the trip, I'll be solo. Started the trip off rough. Truck transmission blew, so I'm in a borrowed truck. Shout out to one of my buddies at work, you know who you are. And we're just gonna make the best of it. We're going anyway. So I'm all packed up, heading on down, and there's no stopping us. So see if we can find a big old black bear this trip. Even sorry about that. At this point, any black bear that looks half decent is going to be coming home, I think. So I got plenty of time, but at the same time, not time. So for those of you who know how that goes. But we'll update you along the way, but we're just hitting the road, so should be there in about 5 hours or so, and then we'll get set up and start scouting and maybe hit a spot tonight for a little bit. So I'll check back in when I get down there. All right, see you then. Alright, so I just got up into a glassing spot here. First evening, I'm overlooking a valley. It's about 250 yards down to the bottom. And there's about a 2-acre sage clearing and grass down in the bottom of it. Pines all around it. And then up above me, up in the top, there's grass and sage clearings just off and on, hit or miss, all in the trees. And I'm sitting right now about 8,600 feet, 8,700 feet, and a good area to start glassing. I think I'm going to sit in this area for the next couple of days, see what happens. The flies don't drive me crazy. Got the old H&H Precision custom 28 nozzler, Night Force scope. So we'll see if we can lay one down. But yeah, super hot right now. It's probably 80 degrees. So I'm probably about 5 o'clock, 5:15 right now. So got about 3.5 hours until it gets dark. We're gonna sit here until dark and then hike out, and we'll see what happens. I'm gonna start picking apart all these spots. Everything up here is all south facing, so a lot of fresh grass starting to pop up now. There was some rain down here recently, so we'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated. All right. Well, it is the end of day one. I guess a half a day one, I guess I should say. I don't even know what day it is. I know it's like Memorial Day weekend here, but May 26th, 2024 comes to an end. So I got out and actually was hunting from about 5 o'clock on today after getting camp all set up, and wanted to come up and check an area that had some guys tell me was a good spot, and they'd seen a lot of bears before in the past, and come up and sat. It's 8 o'clock now, 8:15 now, so it's a few minutes just before dark. I wanted to kind of hike out from watching that clearing and hike out this old logging road and really glass a bunch of different angles off that logging road on my way back to the truck, and it was a pretty good night. No bears. Saw 6 mule deer and 4 elk, and 2 of them were bulls, which was awesome. And those bulls walked by me while I was glassing for bears at about 10 yards, and I got some shaky iPhone video of them as they were feeding right behind me at 10 yards for probably a good minute, and that was really cool. I mean, if there's no bears this trip, that was at least the coolest part of the trip for sure. So we're gonna head back to camp, kind of slow drive out of here, maybe glass a couple spots on the way, and come back up here in the morning and still hunt this old logging road all the way back down to that clearing area in the morning, and we'll see what happens. So with that, we'll see you in the morning. Okay. It's the morning, Monday, May 27th. I just got set up back in that clearing again. Wanted to wait until I had some good filming light to be able to even see anything, but kind of glassed my way back in just a little bit, still hunted in here. Nothing. I saw like 3 or 4 deer walking around, but still trying to wake up and get everything out, but I'll show you kind of where I'm at. Of course, got the old rifle ready, Huxwork suppressor, keep things quiet. So this is the clearing I've been watching. That thing's 245 yards down to the middle of it. And then every once in a while, I'm getting up, and then I'll start glassing up into these clearings up in here. And I'll move, and you can see the other hill faces. But up on that clearing up there was 3 or 4 deer walking around. So the plan is, I brought a peak meal, and I made some coffee for my thermos before I left. So we'll give it the better part of the morning here, see what happens. If nothing happens, then we'll head back to camp, maybe drive around, look for some other spots, check the maps while I'm up here. So I'll get the glass in and give you an update later. All right, see you. Well, morning got cut a little bit short, so I was glassing there for maybe 45 minutes in that spot, and down below there is a trail, and I could hear someone's dog barking down probably 300-400 yards from that clearing down at the bottom of it. So figured that wasn't good for anything, so I packed up, worked my way back up the logging road. Obviously you can see I'm back at the truck, but sun was starting to come up and hit that south facing pretty good, and so I glassed all that on the way out, and nothing. I saw probably a dozen deer this morning, but that's it. So looking at the maps, and kind of just based upon what I'm seeing right now, I think I'm going to try to get away from people a whole lot more. So I thought this spot was a little more isolated, but it is Memorial Day weekend, and thank you to all the veterans out there, Grandpa, my dad, all the rest of you guys out there. Appreciate it. Obviously, I wouldn't be out here without you, so appreciate you guys and ladies. But that being said, I think right now I'm sitting at like 8,400 feet, and there's no snow. There's really no snow line at all. Looks like everything's melted as far as I can see, even way up in the tops. A couple patchy spots, but that's about it. So to chase the snow line, there really is no snow line right now. So there's a trail right above me here that goes up, and it goes all the way up to 10,200 to the top of a ridge. But looking at the topography on Onyx, it's not going to be an easy climb, but bear hunting ain't easy, as you all know. So I think what I'm going to do is head up that trail. I don't know about this evening in the heat of the day. Doesn't sound too fun, but there are some clearings kind of up on the top, spotty up in there that maybe I can glass. I don't know. I've never been up in there, so. If not, then probably tomorrow morning, get up extra earlier than what I did today, and go hike up in there. Judging by the Onyx, it looks like it's about 1.5 miles, 1.6 or something to get up into the top, 10,000, 9,800 somewhere from here. So I'll probably do that, just see what it looks like at the very least, and then spend the morning up there. I think this evening I might come back up in here this evening, maybe drive the roads a little bit, see what I can find. But I just wanted to talk a little bit more too, kind of about what I'm shooting and just my plan with bear hunting. So I'm definitely not a master bear hunter, but I've killed a couple of bears over the years. And one thing I've noticed is I haven't seen any spot and stalk or bait hunter dudes up here yet that I've seen. I'm sure maybe there are, I just haven't seen any. But what I have seen is a lot of hound guys, and there is a lot of trails and road systems up here, so I don't blame you. So the first bear I ever killed was in New Mexico, and it was with a buddy of mine that had hounds, and we hunted hard, and it was hot, and on the 6th day of a 6.5 day hunt that we did, we ended up killing one, and it was a smaller bear, but it was my first bear, so shot it with a handgun. It was a pretty fun hunt, and really opened my eyes up to hound hunting and how hard it really is. And for those that have never done it and think it's easy, it is not easy chasing those dogs and going up and over these hills, and especially where there's no roads. I mean, it is tough, and that's what we ran into. So, and then the next couple of bears I've killed have been Idaho bears and spot and stalk Idaho, and in some rough stuff, and got lucky and killed a couple bears up there. But those bears I killed with my 28 Nosler, and I hand load my own ammunition, and really have for years. But I don't know if you can see, if it'll focus. But I'm shooting a 175 Accubon long range. And man, I got these doing almost 3,200, which I suppose for some of you hand loader guys, you're gonna say that they can hop it up faster than that, or some other guys are gonna say that's too fast. I don't know. There's no middle ground with anything anymore, I think. But my gun's got it shooting sub ½ inch. I'm at like 3/8 of an inch if I really do my job. So for me, that's all I need, and I've been lucky enough to take a couple of bears with it. One was at 821, and The other one was at like 510. So if I do my job, the gun will do its job, and we'll go from there. So far, everything that I've been glassing in here is within 800 yards and in, but obviously shooting that far isn't exactly ideal. So I'm trying to get into that 400 and in range is where I like to be. That's where I'm really comfortable with. And I mean, the longer shots are fine, but everyone knows variables and shooting cross canyons and wind and temperatures and all that kind of stuff, how much it can affect things. So I try not to take too much of a risk, but anyway, so yeah, that's the plan. Eat some breakfast at the truck here in a minute, have the rest of the coffee, probably go head back down to camp, maybe glass this area from the truck just a little bit, but head back down to camp and hang out there for a good portion of the day, really look at some maps, and maybe drive some roads a little bit. I don't know. There's some reservoirs up the road a couple miles, and I think that's where those hikers are coming from. So anyway, maybe go check them out and see if I can get up on a road somewhere else. But I think the plan is I just need to get higher. I think I know people are going to say 8,400 feet, 8,600 feet, or whatever. You're up there, but in this country, it's still pretty low, I think. So I think I'm going to try to get a little bit higher, and I got until Saturday. It's Monday, so can't be too discouraged. The bear I killed at 800 plus, it was in the middle of the day. It was like 2 in the afternoon out on a south-facing ridge in the heat of the day. It was out feeding. The other bear up in Idaho I killed was at 2 hours left of daylight, so kind of towards the evening. And then the bear that I killed in New Mexico with hounds, we rigged that bear first thing in the morning at dawn, right as the sun was coming up. We rigged that bear and ended up killing it a couple hours later. So, people say afternoon hunting is the best. In my experience, it's been all over the place. I've killed them in the morning, afternoon, and towards the evening. So I've glassed up bears right at last light. I've glassed up bears in the middle of the day. I helped another buddy kill a bear a couple of years ago up in Idaho. After I killed mine, we went up later in the year, and he killed his over bait, but we killed that bear first thing in the morning. I think we were 2 or 3 minutes into shooting time, we killed that bear. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to them, but I do know that if you're not out in the woods, you ain't gonna kill one. And it doesn't matter what time it is. You got a pretty good chance. It's just you gotta be in that sweet spot. And I think right now the sweet spot's getting up a little bit higher. So maybe we'll try that for a day or two and see what happens. See if I change my luck a little bit. But it's bear hunting. You can't get discouraged. You got to just keep after them, because if you just sit in one spot and don't see anything for a couple of days, I know a lot of people will leave or get discouraged or only give it an hour or two in a spot and leave, and wonder why they never saw anything. So every time I've seen something on spot and stalk, I've been putting in the work glassing. So I think that's going to be the plan. Maybe one more evening in here, and then tomorrow when it's a little cooler in the morning. I think it's supposed to maybe rain tonight. I thought I saw like 30% chance of some showers up here. So maybe in the morning we'll see what the weather's doing and come back up in here and then and hike up in high up. So see if that changes anything. But until then, I'm going to eat some breakfast while it's still hot, and we'll give you an update later. So I can see like 10 deer up in a clearing way up in there right now, even with my naked eye. So the sun's hitting them just right. But yeah, I'll check in with you later. All right, give you a midday check-in on Monday the 27th. So a little windy on this ridge, but what I did is I took my own advice and I hurried up, went back to camp, made some PB&Js, grabbed some food, and filled up on water, and then came back up to where I was in the morning, and then hiked all the way up to the ridge, like 1,000, 1,100 feet up, at like a 15+% grade. It was crazy, maybe even more than that. But got up there, got to the top, and I shot off to the east like a quarter mile, and it was okay. Just not a lot of visibility, not a lot of spots to really get into to glass up distance anyway. And then I decided to double back, and I shot off to the west. The way you kind of run along this ridge up on top, you can't really go further north. And so I kind of followed that ridge west about a half mile from where I originally hiked up, and then went down a ridge that leads down to where I was glassing this morning, the kind of the next ridge over, and I'm about halfway down that now. So I'm a lot closer towards the top into a bunch of clearings, and I'll show you here in a second. So the way I got my shot set up right now is if something pops out that's visible, the closest to me is about 475. And then if something goes out on that far face, the closest to me is 707, and then I hit another spot in another clearing that's 750. So really going to try not to do it, but if something pops out over there, we'll have to really take a look at it first. But anyway, it is about noon, 11:30 noon right now. So we got a ton of time. It's probably 70 degrees, maybe a little more, 70-ish. And starting to get a little cloudy. I don't know if it's that front moving in or not, but I'm going to wait it out as long as I can. I got rain gear, I got a gun slicker, so, you know, we'll be all right. Got cover for the backpack, so we'll see how things go. Definitely more of a berry looking spot than what I was at to the east, but who knows. Anyway, I'll show you what I'm working with over here. That's that far clearing over there in the middle. That one's a 750, 700, 750 to the middle. So we'll see what happens. Not seeing much sign. In fact, I'm seeing no sign, no tracks, no scat, no nothing. And everything up here is super dry. I mean, there's grass growing, but we'll have to see. I'll give this spot in here another couple of days, and by, Wednesday, if things are kind of on par the way things are going Wednesday, then I think it might be time to look for a new spot or branch out a little bit more. So nothing says you can't pull up camp and move, so we'll see how it goes. The deer are moving though. I bet I've seen 20 deer already today. And they're out still feeding in the middle of the day. It's crazy. Tons of elk track up in here. So I won't be surprised if here in a minute we glass up some elk again. But straight across that ridge that I showed you was where those cows were up in those aspen trees that I took some video on earlier. So if you were to glass, I bet they're like 800 from where those cows were to where I am. So anyway, I got some good faces to look at, kind of deeper canyons, so we'll see how things go. But we'll give you an update later, and we'll see how the evening goes. Hopefully we don't get rained on too hard. So anyway, I'll check in later. All right, got the first bear of the trip right there. Cinnamon bear with really chocolatey face and chocolatey legs. It's a cool bear. I'm going to see what he does. He's 750 right now. I'll try to cut the distance on him here in a minute. We'll update you when that happens. Well, he got away. It happened super fast. I made a big move, and I dropped 250 yards and got within 500 of him, and he just would not stop. By the time I got the gun on him and got leveled, he moved behind a tree, and then he got into some thick scrub oak, and that was the last I saw him. So based upon where he is at, it looked like he's dropping downhill. So that's the case. The way he was heading, he looked like he was on a mission. But now I'm in a dilemma. It's 6 p.m. 8:30-ish is, shooting time when it starts to get too dark. If I really bust out of here, I can cut some country to my left and jump up on an old logging road and then see if I can get ahead of him and try to pick him up again. But, I mean, as the crow flies, it's a half mile. As the canyons fly, it's a lot more than that. And I'm already in just scrub oak hell, as you can see anyway. For those of you who live out west, you know what I'm talking about. So then it puts me into a bigger dilemma. I still have 2.5 hours of time the rest of the day. Good country. But that's the first bear I've seen. And, a bird in the hand, you know what I mean? And I ain't no trophy hunter. But he looked like a super cool bear, two-tone color like that. It looked like he took a mud bath. It was actually a really cool looking bear. I hope I got him on video. I couldn't see with the glare. But I don't know what to do. Well, what I do know is up above me, elk and deer are feeding out. And I would think if bears are walking through the middle of them, they wouldn't really be feeding out too much. So I'm kind of using it as my justification to talk myself into just bushwhacking out of here as fast as I can and try to cut him off. Well, hey, we saw a bear. That's awesome. Not many people can say that, so I wish I would have got a shot. I mean, it's always one of those where you hear it. If I only had one more second. And I'll tell you what, in this case, it was true. If I would have had about 2 more seconds, we would be able to touch one off on that bear. He was like 490 or something like that. Well, I think I just talked myself into a decision here, and we got a hell of a bushwhack out of here, so better put the camera down, and I'll hit you up at the end of the night, let you know how it goes. All right, see ya. Well, we tried. I don't even know what time it is. The sun just went down over the mountain about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. Yeah, 8:15. Man. Well, I rucked it off the mountain and got over here in 40 minutes. And what a nightmare that was. Well, anyone who's hunted bears and seen bears on the move know I've never hunted caribou, but I feel like a bear on the move is as close to caribou hunting as I can get. I don't know. Those things sometimes when they're moving, they just don't stop. And this bear was on a mission. I'm assuming it was a boar. He kept reaching up and pulling branches down. And he just scooted. I mean, he cut across this clearing up above and come down this big ravine right here that was in the middle of where he and I was, and just disappeared. Who knows? Could have went down. There's a creek in the bottom of this drainage. It's only like 3 or 4 feet wide or something like that. And he could have just bombed down in there and got a drink. But once you get so much of an angle from this other side here, you can't see down in the bottom. So I went all the way down to that little clearing that I sat in the other day, and thinking maybe because the way the valley comes down, it kind of ends into that clearing, and thought maybe there was a chance he could come by in the area or something. But I sat down there for 2.5 hours, something like that, and didn't see anything. So a couple of deer walked out, and that was it. And now all up in the top, a little glary, but this is the drainage right out here where that bear was coming down. And then all in the top of there are just deer and elk all over the place. No bulls, but cows and calves and stuff. So, and I'm beat. I think I only did like 6 miles today. Sure doesn't feel like it. It feels like 10 miles or something, but you can see behind me, when you can see the camera there, it gets steep quick. Going up and down and doing that kind of stuff, man, it just beats you up. So I'm ready for a camp bath and a new change of clothes and some dinner. I know that much. Maybe a beer. But that's good. We're really, truly one solid hunting day into hunting here, and already seen a bear. So he was a super cool one. I really hope he's on video. I haven't even checked the tape yet, but yeah, if you can see him on there, he is a super cool looking bear. I don't know if I've seen another one like it before. Like I said, not a big one. I'm gonna guess a smaller boar, like a 2.5-year-old boar or something like that. But I don't know. I was just thinking how cool it would be to come up in an area that I'd never been before and shoot a bear on the first day. That'd have been, especially a cool bear like that. But maybe it's an omen, huh? We'll take it like that. Fingers crossed. But that being said, if I turn him up again, I don't know if he's going to be so lucky. But hopefully the situation's right. But whew, man, I am beat. That was a long day out here. Ate all my food, drank all my water, just in time to kind of start moseying back. I keep glassing all this area, maybe he'll turn up or something, but I don't know. Cow elk just above that clearing where that bear was. That was weird. I saw like a little, kind of a chocolatey figure up there, and obviously it was a cow elk, but as I was watching her, she's feeding, no problem. Then she picks her head up, ears kind of go up like she's on alert, and she picks up and does kind of a 180, spins around, looking around, and then she moves off into the weeds. I say weeds, but that scrub oak stuff. I'm sure there's a more scientific name than scrub oak, but for 40 years that's what I've called it, so we'll just stick with it. Got a buddy that hunts down here a lot, and that's kind of who turned me onto this spot. And they said that they saw like 90 or something, 90+% color phase bears every time he's down here. So it doesn't surprise me that it was like that half cinnamon, half chocolate colored. To be honest, I'm kind of one of those people that I like the color phase bears. I've shot one black bear, and that was that New Mexico bear. And the other one was a real dark chocolate bear up in Idaho, and then a nice cinnamon colored bear up in Idaho. And of course beggars can't be choosers, but I definitely like the color phase ones for sure. So well, I think we're going to head back to the truck, head back to camp, and heat up a pot of water so I'm not in that that creek behind camp. I did that the other day, and I made it about 30 seconds in there, and that was about all I could take. So we'll heat up some water this time. So all right, well, we'll catch you out here tomorrow and see what happens. All right, it's Tuesday morning. I feel like I got to clear my throat every time. I don't know why. I worked on that. But I'm back out looking at this face that two-tone bear was on when I lost him yesterday. The sun's coming down, and nothing so far. I've seen 2 deer, which is whatever. I'm not deer hunting, but it's still cool to see. But now, I feel like now that I've actually laid eyes on a bear in here, it's kind of become a little bit more real, I think. You guys know what I'm talking about when you're out hunting a ghost, and then you finally see it, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, there he is. I'm going to put some time in now. Of course, the squirrels will start lighting up right now, but anyway. I feel like I got to give it some time until I don't. My buddy that knows this area, I think he might be coming up this afternoon. And if he does, that's awesome, because he might have some other little hole that he knows or something like that, which, I mean, I'll take whatever I can get at this point, but just putting in my time, man. That's spot and stalk bear hunting, I'll tell you. I don't know, I'm sure some professional hunter out there has some other feeling about it, or y'all whitetail hunters probably have some feeling about it, but I feel like spot and stalk bear hunting has got to be one of the hardest hunts. But again, I'm not a trophy hunter, so I'm not seeking a 180 plus inch mule deer or something, and can only find that mule deer. So where it's like a needle in a haystack. I'm just trying to find a bear. And like I said yesterday, I'm sure there's plenty of you out there watching that may have never even seen a bear out in the woods before your whole life, So they're a different animal, I'll tell you what. But to me, of the game animals that I've hunted and taken, they got to be, of what I've taken anyway, which ain't much. I've killed a few animals, but they got to be one of the most rewarding, at the end of the day, animals to take. They're just, so I'm like all hunching over here. 2 days of glassing and rucking my gear up and down these mountains, kind of. I lost my posture a little bit here, so no, it's the bears I've been fortunate enough to take, man. It has been a rewarding experience, that is for sure. I'll never forget. Not that I don't forget any other animals I've taken, but I shoot a doe mule deer or something, or a cow elk. Yes, it's rewarding, and there's a lot that goes into that. But I don't know. I've never taken a 180 mule deer. I think my biggest mule deer is about 100 inches, so there you go. So, I've never taken a 350, 360 bull. But so I guess I can't equate it to everything. But what I do know is that I didn't go too hard today hiking in. So I got coffee, got the pea shooter. It's gorgeous bluebird skies. It's like 50 degrees. It was like low 40s when I got out of the tent this morning. And I don't know how you could ask for anything better. I mean, bear or no bear at this point, I don't know. It doesn't get much better than this. But I'll sit and watch this for another hour or so. I got biscuits and gravy waiting back at the truck, if you want to call it that. But I will say, for me, and this is just me, those peak refuel meals are about the better tasting of them all. Utah company, so there you go. But that's not the only reason, of course. But if you get the biscuits and gravy, which is, they only offer a couple breakfast type things, but you gotta break up the biscuits before you put your water in. Like, you gotta take a freaking back of your axe or a hammer or something to them, break up those biscuits. Because if you don't, you could leave that pouch alone for an hour, and those biscuits are going to be hard in the middle. You're going to break a tooth off. So do yourself a favor and break them up. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, you don't like biscuits and gravy, just get the mountain berry stuff. That stuff's awesome. But I always put hot water in there. I'm sure someone out there is going to tell me I'm doing it wrong. But I put hot water, so it's like kind of an oatmeal. And that's money right there, too. Otherwise, most of the other meals are pretty good. They're my style for sure. But I brought like some beef stew and some other stuff too, just so I'm not eating peak meals for a week, because well, we don't want to get into what a week's worth of peak meals does, but you already know. Like being on MREs for a week. So I brought some other stuff to kind of change my diet up a little bit. But I wanted to give this bear a name like Boots, because he had those dark chocolatey boots from like his shoulders down. And then I realized I'm not on a whitetail ranch or something where there's 100 whitetails that are 160 inches, and you got to name them all so your clients know which ones to shoot or not. Like, this one's Princess. We're going to call this bear Princess out here. Don't shoot Princess. I thought that was kind of stupid, because he's probably the only bear out here that is that coloration. So we ain't going to do that. Really not a lot moving today, though, I'll tell you. You know, and when I was looking earlier, I thought I'd talk about it, but I got a spotting scope back in the truck. I'm sure someone's going to be like, where's your spotting scope at? And it's back in the truck. I got a spotting scope. It's one of those big old razors, Vortex razors. But it's almost a paperweight at this point. I rarely use a spotting scope. And the reason for that is a couple of things. One is it's just heavy. And yeah, I could downsize and get something smaller, but I don't have the money to downsize to something smaller that's has just the same clarity. And I don't want to downsize something smaller in the same line, like go down to like a Diamondback or something, lesser than that, where it doesn't quite have the glass that this does. I'm sure there'll be some debate on that, but in my opinion. So I'm kind of stuck with it. And two, I'm just trying to find an animal. I'm not a trophy hunter, so I'm not. Yeah, I would like to shoot a trophy. I mean, absolutely. That's why I'm out here hunting and trying to put time in. But getting that 3-point buck that's 120 inches can be going to make my year if that happens. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to find an animal. So I glass something up. As long as it doesn't have cubs, I'm going to look at it a little bit and see. But just like that bear yesterday, didn't have cubs, was acting like a boar, moving like a boar. He was on a mission, like he was checking his area or something, like marking trees. So that being said, that's good enough for me right there. I mean, he looked half decent. Not the oldest bear, but I don't need to sit there and zoom in on his nose to know that it's a bear and mannerisms and things like that. I got a big old scope for that. And two, the other reason why I don't take it is most of the stuff I'm looking at is under 1,000 yards, 800 to 1,000 yards. And my 12 by 50s are plenty for looking at that. And like I said, if not, I can put the scope on it. And I don't need to sit there and again zoom in on its nose to think it's an animal that I want to try to take. But and then the other half reason is I got an iPhone 8. Y'all probably don't even know what an iPhone 8 is, but it's like a mid-generation iPhone. And I'm just too cheap to get like an all-in adapter or something, or a phone scope adapter to put on my spotting scope, because I'm holding on to this phone for dear life because I hate swapping phones out. And so I don't want to buy one and then have something happen to this phone and then I'm stuck. So there's kind of like 2.5, 3 reasons why I don't really take my spotting scope all that much. If I'm near the truck or near a side-by-side or something like that and we're looking over big country just to try to locate something and then find a herd of elk and then get close, I guess that's one thing. But when I'm out rucking my stuff around, I never take it. 0 out of 0 times do I take it. So, I don't know, that's just me. Yesterday there was a turkey gobbling down here in the bottom, which is pretty cool. I don't know if I talked about that, but late May like this, kind of cool to still hear him gobbling. I have a buddy who has a turkey tag, a statewide tag. And I hit him up. In fact, I don't even know. The hunt's probably over, actually. sure there's someone out there looking at my gun right now going, that's a big heavy ass gun, and why do you need a scope that big? Well, you just have to ask yourself one question. Is it your gun? I'm sure the answer is going to be no. So, I guess that's it. I thought about bringing my 6.5 PRC. I got a Christensen MPR pretty dialed in, hand loaded up. Shooting some 129 Accubon long ranges that are just screaming. And thought about bringing that out for this hunt, but collapse it up and throw it in my backpack a little bit easier. But my buddy said that 2 years ago when they were down here, there was a guy that killed a bear right in this area that was, I think he went 398 after they gutted it. So I thought, well, that 6.5 would do the trick for sure. It's all about shot placement. Remember that, right? And bullet construction. But I thought, just in case I don't do my part, don't call the wind right, flinch a little or something, which never happens, of course. Thought I'd get something that could pound through that shoulder if I go a little far forward. The last 2 bears I killed in Idaho, I actually was able to get the bullet out of them, each of the bears, which is pretty cool. So I still got those bullets. As you can tell, I like those Accubon long range bullets. Utah is a Barnes Company state, and my 22-250 shoots a 62 grain TTSX. It's like 3,500 or 3,600 feet per second or something like that. I think it's like 36 actually, that I got hand loaded up, which is just screaming. And of the last couple of coyotes I've shot with it, they have not even moved a muscle. It has stoned them. So I've been super happy with those bullets out of that 22-250. I haven't been able to get them to group right out of my 6.5 or out of my 28, but it's all good. Not every bullet shoots in every gun. Hornadies, they're okay. I've had okay success with them. Those ELDX bullets. I was shooting the AMAXs forever back in the day. Some of you remember those, some of you don't. It's kind of like the precursor to the ELDX. And again, I just got okay luck out of them. It seemed like on big game animals, I don't know. The last couple of years, I really switched over to a bonded construction or an all-copper monolithic construction bullet. I mean, really for anything. I mean, like I said, coyotes even. You screw up or you have that coyote got his shoulder forward. I hit one with a Winchester silver tip probably 15 years ago or more. 18 years ago. And he was quartering to me. I had my 250, the 55 grain silver tip, just screaming. And I thought, I'll just put it right on the front of his shoulder, right on the point there, and it'll go right into his chest, and he's done. He was like 250 yards or something. and it hit right where I was aiming, and that coyote ran off on 3.5 legs and ran probably 150 yards down into a den hole and was down in that den hole. Never was able to, I crawled down into my ankles down in that den hole looking for him. And, you know, like a tunnel rat in Vietnam, you know, with a janky flashlight in my pistol, and never found him. But so after that, I started getting kind of leery about shooting, you know, rapid expanding bullets out of higher velocity stuff. Now here we are. So that was a big old rant there for, I don't even know how long that was. Sorry about that. Haven't talked to anyone in 2 days, so. I'm like at the infancy stages of what it was like to be a pioneer or a mountain man out here. Going weeks and months without human contact. Kind of crazy to think about. On that note, I'll catch you later. I think it might be kind of a low-key day today. The gritty guys would be disappointed. I didn't stay out here all morning. But I did get up here super early, earlier than I have all week. And back up in the same drainage where I saw that bear from Monday. It's now Wednesday morning now. And another super cold morning, low 40s. And I bet probably right at 40, if not high 30s. It feels like it was cooler this morning than normal, but nothing. I've seen about 40 deer, and that's it this morning. Nothing really moving other than deer. No elk, no nothing. So, remember what I told you? That right there, that mountain berry cobbler from Peak. Peak doesn't sponsor me at all in any way. I'm not opposed to it, of course, but I will say, if you can find this, buy every one of them. These are the best ones. Of the dinners, the breakfast, it doesn't matter what it is. Those are the best ones. But anyway, I'm glad I dug that out this morning. Kind of needed a boost a little bit. I mean, it's only been 2.5 days. Working on 3 days, but you kind of need a boost every once in a while, you know what I mean? Even in the small stuff. And that right there was one of them for this morning, for sure, especially after not seeing anything. So I stayed out until the ravine that I'm watching. I say ravine, but for most of you guys it's probably a canyon. But I stayed until this canyon was mostly engulfed with the sun this morning. And once the sun hits it, it like immediately is 10 degrees plus warmer, 10, 15 degrees warmer once the sun hits it. So I stayed and watched and nothing. And this side of the canyon, obviously it's still in the shade, but it doesn't do me any good to watch a side that's in the sun, nothing moving in the sun. So looks like it's going to be another hot day today. Clear bluebird sky again. I'm kind of getting those afternoon clouds rolling in. There was like a really faint, I felt a couple of drops yesterday, but that was it. Just like the other day, it was supposed to rain. I got sprinkled on for about 2 seconds of just a couple light drops, and that was it. But I think what I am going to do for the remainder of the hunt, I'll come and spot check this once in a while. It's kind of easy to drive up. There's a dead end road at this logging road, and I can hike in. It's not that far of a hike. I can make it as far as I want, I guess. But I think what I'm gonna try to focus on is just, I know I saw that bear. I was looking at Onyx. He was like at 8,600 feet, and that's one bear. I haven't seen any other bear before or after. So I think, being that it was the holiday weekend, there's a lot of hound hunters driving the roads. It's hot. What little snow of a snow line that there is way up top. It's like 10.2, 10.4, something like that. So I'm going to stick with my gut instinct from the other morning for the next day or so, a couple of days. And I'm going to go up to where these top little canyon lakes are, and up in the top of this basin, and there's a couple of trailheads up in there, and I think the lakes are sitting at like 9,000 or somewhere right in there. So I think what I'm going to do is go up there and hit some of those trailheads and start kind of focusing on getting up in there. I have no idea what the country looks like. I haven't been up in there, but I'm not seeing much down here. I hate to leave a bear, but he was moving, like checking territory moving, and he wasn't feeding, he wasn't stopping to feed. I never seen him in the minute and a half I actually was able to glass him. I never saw him take a bite of anything. Of course, it wasn't much time, but it was like he wasn't interested in eating. He was just moving, checking territory. So I just don't think that bear's hanging around in this area, and I think he's just moving, checking territory. So I think sometimes you got to know when to hold them, and you know how the song goes. So this is kind of one of those times where I think I'm going to fold them for right now, move into a new spot. I've given it plenty of time. Probably a little bit more time than what I normally would, but after seeing a bear, I just wanted to make sure. Had I not seen anything, I probably would have called it yesterday and moved, but so anyway, that's the plan. So after I eat some breakfast, I'm going to drive up and head to those lakes and hit a trailhead and move up in there for the rest of the day. I'm going to try to get up where some snow is or up into the rim rock area and try to get up into there and try to find some vantage points or something and see what I can find, but you know, it's hunting. It's definitely not shooting, that's for sure, or catching, as I often commonly hear. Certainly don't want to catch a bear, but I definitely prefer to shoot a bear. So that's kind of the plan. We're giving it hell, trying to stay positive. That's all you can do. So if anything, saw tons of elk, couple of bulls already, tons of deer. I'm probably up to at least 100 deer just in this drainage alone. Sitting at probably 30 elk or better, 30, 40 elk, a bear, a couple of turkeys. So, I mean, it's been a good drainage. That's what's making it so hard to leave, but I'm not after deer and elk is the problem. So, you know, after seeing those elk spook off out of that clearing yesterday, you know, it's just another thing where it's like, was it a bear? Was it a lion? I don't know. You know, technically I got a tag for both. I can shoot both. So, yeah. I got a little hole in the trees over here. I can see a chunk of the face over there. I just keep watching, hoping to get lucky while I'm rambling, but that's the plan. So we'll check in later and let you know where I'm at, and it might be a bust up there, I don't know. Just hoping to get into an area that I can see, that I actually have some distance to shoot, that's kind of by water. I think that's the key. Well, I know that's the key. I'm just talking out loud, but I think the key with these bears right now being so hot in the middle of the day, I think they're hunkering down by water, or they're getting down in those, you know, shadowy drainages. Yesterday was hot. I was sitting out and I got in the sun. I mean, I got sunburned all the hell. I drank probably 4 Nalgene waters worth of bottles worth of water, just glassing yesterday all day, and I wasn't even really moving. I was just glassing more than anything, just trying to stay in the shade. So if I'm doing that in a t-shirt, in an Arrow wool t-shirt, thanks First Light, wink wink, you know, I know them bears are going to stay in the shade too, so, or get that high elevation and stay in the shade. So if I can get it by the snow, find some water, some higher elevation, maybe we'll see if that changes our luck at all. I think these bears are just circling this basin and this rim up in here, trying to stay away from the roads, away from people, especially after the holidays, like I said, all the hunters that were up here. So all you can do is do it, see what happens. So have some breakfast, drink some coffee on the way, hot coffee, none of this cold crap. This is America. And go from there. But man, it's beautiful country. Glad I was able to come down here and check this all out. I'd definitely come down here and hunt again. So we're starting about the halfway point of the hunt, and just keep on keeping on. But anyway, I'll check in later with you and show you what it looks like after put some miles down on the boots. I got a feeling. I have to map it all out. I was getting on Onyx last night while I was sitting by the fire and found a couple of trails I want to go try out. So anyway, all right, I'll check in with you later. All right, just giving you an update. It's Wednesday, It's 9:40 a.m. So, of course, right? Oh, 9:40, how about that? And I went up above those lakes and hiked my way up in here. I'm not quite to the rim yet, but I think that's probably my next move. I saw a huge clearing, what looked like a clearing on Onyx, and came up in here, and I'll show you what I found. But man, reminds me of Idaho a little bit in some parts that I've hunted, which makes me think that, bears are in the rocky stuff. But this is what I found. So, maybe get lucky and find a bear walking up along the rim, just underneath it, where it's not quite as rocky and shaly, but doubt it. I don't know if they're worth wasting my time right now. So, if I keep going east, according to Onyx, it looks pretty piney and not a lot of visibility to get out of. You kind of stay down along this creek bottom, and then you pop out of it eventually, and you're kind of in the pines. And then that works its way over along the rim to where I was hunting earlier. And it's a good, I don't even know, 3 miles, 4 miles, something like that, if I was to put a guess, to get over above in that area where I was hunting. Maybe a little bit more, I guess, by boots. So what I'm thinking is to head a little further west and try to wrap around this knob right here. I guess for those that aren't familiar with western hunting, a knob means a mountain. So try to get around this knob right here and work around it. I passed a lake probably like 1.25 miles, 1.5 miles ago, and just a small lake, maybe 3 acres or something like that. Tons of green grass all around it, and cattails look growing, things like that. Looked like a sweet spot to set up, but people hike up to it. But there really wasn't any. There wasn't any boot track past that lake, and the tracks that went to the lake were super old, like a week or two ago. I guess that's not super old, but older. There is one set of horse tracks that I've been following, and they were working their way back down to the main trailhead. So I'm thinking it was this horse track that I cut when I hiked up above that bear spot and then started working the rim this way. I was following some horse track up there, so I'm thinking someone just did a big loop. But other than that, there is no fresh tracks for anything other than deer and some elk. No boots, no nothing, so that's a good sign. And I've been coming across snow, little patches of snow. I mean, small patches, but snow nonetheless. So I'm kind of thinking I'm in the area where I want to be, honestly. It's just a matter of where do I go from here. Sitting in this boulder pile all day isn't going to really do me any good, so I'm going to bust out of this, try to get out of the rocks. If I go back down and cross this creek down here, it takes me to a split and a trailhead. And I might do that instead of bushwhacking because this stuff is super thick and noisy. I've been trying to still hunt through it, but it's impossible. It's too thick. So Anyway, that's the plan. So we'll try to get up and around, probably go west, and get around this face right here and see what happens. But yeah, this looks like central Idaho area, some of the areas that I've hunted with all the rocks and this big rock steep faces. And you watch videos of some of these guys going deep in there, and there's bears in there. Now I'm sure there's got to be a bear in here somewhere. There's got to be. I'm probably 2.5 miles or better from the trailhead, and I'm probably a good 2 miles since the last time I saw anybody that was just fishing at the lake. And beyond that, there's no boot track or anything like that. So I feel like I'm getting pretty far away from recreation and habitation, or I could find something. But anyway, enough talking. Let's get hiking. All right, see you. Nearing the end of Wednesday. And it has been a long day, I'll tell you what. I can tell I'm hella sunburned over the last couple of days, but trying to stay in the shade. I probably did 8 miles today. Went up above those lakes, kind of hiked around all over up in there, checked out a bunch of spots. Deer just moved down through the bottom. Which isn't really a good sign if there's a bear down there, right? I would think. But anyway, we got a couple hours left of daylight. I'm just going to grind it out the rest of the day in this bowl that I've been sitting in. That stuff up top. That stuff up top above the lakes was just super rocky, and there was no areas to glass. It was super thick. The lakes were cool, but there was a couple little meadows up there where, like I said, it'd be like turkey hunting. But there was one big meadow that I found. It's huge. It's probably 400 plus yards across, and end to end, and anywhere from 75 to 100 yards across. And it was about a mile by boot from a dirt road, and there was no footprints on it at all, no fresh tracks at all. Nobody been back there for a long time. And about half a mile back, it started to get a bunch of deadfall all over the trail and stuff like that. So when I got to the edge of the meadow, there was just elk sign, elk track everywhere. There's a small, teeny little pond on the one end. I don't know if it's a seep or leftover rainwater. Maybe it was a bigger pond, but anyway, there's some water in there. So I think tomorrow may try sitting over in that meadow. Where I'm at right now, I'm at about 8,500 feet right now. Where that meadow sits at like 9,400 feet, something like that. So it at least gives me an area to glass and an area to shoot if something were to pop out and feed out in that meadow. Tons of green grass. But just going back to the way that bear was acting the other day, he's just cruising looking for sows, I think, marking his territory. I don't know if they're they're feeding right now. I don't know if I'm too late. Well, I'm sure I'm probably too late, but or what, but anyway, my buddy that knows this area, last I talked with him in some service, he said he's going to come up tomorrow and be here around noon, so that's cool. Give me a couple of days, with some knowledge of the place, see if that changes my luck at all, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just back in this spot just because it gives the best opportunity to glass at distance and see stuff. But so far it's a bust. It's about, I don't know, about 7-ish, 6:37, somewhere in there. So we'll see, but absolutely nothing moving. I seen with those 2 deer down there, I seen 3 deer the whole time I've been out here, and I got out here about 5 o'clock. I don't know. We'll keep grinding. Got about 2.5 more days or so after today, so we'll stick it out and see what happens, but if you don't hear me about if you don't hear from me the rest of the day here, assume nothing happened. So trying to stay positive, that's all you can do. But anyway, all right, I'm going to sign off, and I will catch you tomorrow unless something absolutely drastic happens in the next couple hours. All right, see ya. All right, it's Thursday morning, May 30th, I believe. Figured I'd show this gorgeous little meadow in here instead of my ugly mug. There's kind of like a edge of a storm front or something came through last night about right as it got dark, and it has just been blowing, not crazy wind, but just blowing wind all night. Slightly cloudy. It didn't rain, but I think just a couple little sprinkles at one point, but really nothing crazy. So there was elk track on top of my boot track from yesterday in here, but haven't seen an elk, haven't smelled one, haven't seen a deer, nothing's moving, just birds and chipmunks. So might give it a few more minutes here, let the sun come up just a little bit, but I don't know, just the more and more I'm going through this week here after watching that bear earlier, I just think those bears are kind of locking down, chasing each other and stuff right now. I think. I don't know, I could be way wrong. There's some bear expert watching this probably tell me otherwise, so if there is, please tell me. But I'm just trying to make a judgment call out in the woods, and I'm no bear expert. Ranella, if you're watching this, let me know what I'm doing wrong. But otherwise, give it a few more minutes, and then I'm probably going to go back to the truck. It's about a mile and a quarter hike. And go back to the truck and turn the heater on a little bit. It's like 40 degrees, 38, 39, 40 degrees, somewhere in there. I could see my breath the whole hike in here, and I didn't wear the warmest clothes. Oh, excuse me. But it was enough to get me by. But maybe go get warm and take a nap. God, you get to a tail end of a hunt. Those that have done a long hunt before and doing a lot of hiking and a lot of work, and man, it just takes a toll. You start getting tired. So the rifle went from being pretty lightweight the first day and a half or so to then being a rifle to now it's feeling like I'm carrying a boat anchor. But that's all right. That's hunting. Like I said, we're out here grinding. We're doing it. Can't shoot one sitting on the couch. So it would have been cool to see something walking through this meadow this morning, though. I don't care what it was, just something. But there's nothing moving today but birds. So, okay, once again, unless something changes here in the next little bit, obviously we'll turn the camera on, but otherwise we'll see you this afternoon at some point. Might come back in this meadow again. Not sure. Like I said, I'm about 9,550, 9,600 feet, something like that. So, I don't know. I'm trying the high country. I'm trying the medium-ish country. I'm trying it all right now and just not seeing bears like I thought I would see. So, weird. Something going on. But anyway, all right. I'll check in with you later. See ya. Okay. I almost forgot to do the end of Thursday video. So, I went on a big old hike tonight over the ridge that looks down over where that bear was on Monday. And I saw one elk. So I'd hiked all the way up over the ridge, kind of down up into another little saddle and into another saddle on that ridge, and saw two does. And of course, I'm dehydrated, but I gotta have a beer at the end of the night here after all that. Holy cow. But anyway, tracked my mileage. I did like 3 miles with like 2,500 plus elevation up and down. So it was a big night. Got the camp Crocs on because the feet weren't too happy after this week, and I've been wearing new boots. So they've definitely not been happy with anything, but anyway, what a disappointing night, I'll tell you. Hardly any animals moving. I don't know what to say about it. I saw one old pile of bear poo about halfway up that ridge, kind of almost about level to where that bear was, but it was old. I mean, not recent. And I saw one old bear paw print down in the bottom, just up from the creek, and that was also old too. I almost walked right by it before I had to do a triple take on it and realized it was a paw print. But yeah, I mean, it was easily probably 3 weeks old or better. Anyway, still keeping after it. I got a day and a half left, and I mean, I know there's bear up in here. It's not like this place is void of bear. I know there's bear up in here. Just, I don't know if it's the heat. I don't know if they're rutting right now. I haven't even seen a sow, like a sow with cubs or anything like that. I've seen one bear this whole trip. An old sign. It's crazy to me. The only thing I'm like trying to put two and two together of what, reasons behind everything. And I keep seeing tons of like cow poo, even way up top, like up on the ridge, and cow tracks, and then I see horseshoe tracks. Like they had cattle up here, and I don't know if it was from last year, but I would figure after the snow and rains and all that stuff, a lot of the horse hoof tracks and stuff like that might have got washed away or kind of rubbed out, and they're looking like they're pretty fresh, like within the last 3 weeks maybe. So it only makes me wonder if they had cattle up here and they were just moving them around, but it doesn't seem likely. That seems like an end of the year type thing. So I don't know. I'm just trying to grasp at straws as to why I'm in good country and just not seeing anything. And I can't imagine it's hunting pressure. I'm as far as I know, I've been up and down this road a good handful of times, and I have yet to see another rig or another person that looks like they're hunting up here. So either I'm stupid or there's not a lot of pressure up here. I'm starting to think it's the former and not the latter. But anyway, like I said, I got one good full hunting day tomorrow. As long as my feet hold up, I've been just taking Advil and pounding through. Like I said, I brought my old pair of boots just in case this happened, and sure enough, so I've been wearing those today, and it's helped a little bit. I thought I'd break in those new pair, but as I was like, I'm not going to do too much hiking. I'm going to try to get on this old logging road and just other stuff like that and just kind of take it chill, but I can't do that. So sure enough, a couple days ago, I just beat the hell out of my feet. And anyway, yeah, doesn't seem like it, but I'm still positive. I got one more day. Man, I drew a bead on a cow elk tonight. It come walking up just over there's little steps that go up kind of on this ridge area right in the middle where that bear was the other day. And she come up over the step, and I didn't see her below it. She just come up on the step, and I just saw brown with a face walking up about 150 yards. I put the scope on it, and stupid elk. Never happens like that when you're elk hunting. It always happens like that when you're hunting something else and you can't find it. So anyway, I think I'm going to sit by the fire for a minute, throw a couple logs on. I got up at 4 a.m. today, and it's just been a long day. It's like 8:45 right now. I got a freeze-dried meal. I'm doing beef stroganoff tonight. Got that cooking. So eat that up, throw another log on, have another beer and a bunch of water to offset it, of course, and pick it up in the morning. Don't know what to do in the morning. I'm trying to decide if it's worth it to go back into that big meadow that I sat this morning, or go back up on the logging road where I saw that bear. Don't know. The mornings don't seem like they're doing anything. I haven't seen anything in the morning. When, like I said, you never know. I mean, bears move when bears move, I guess. So I personally feel like there's no rhyme or reason, but just nothing moving. So we'll give it hell. See what Friday night brings, what I do Saturday. But anyway, all right. I'll check in tomorrow morning and go from there. Cheers. All right, I did the unthinkable. I don't know if it was just kind of last day blues or what, or just the week finally caught up to me, but I slept in. I got up from my alarm and I just laid there for a minute like, holy cow, I am beat. So, I'm still tired. Oh, excuse me. But it's 7:45. I kind of was up off and on in between 4:15 or so and now, but man, I am tired. Kind of catching up to me, I think. So, got the jet boil going. Looks like about this mountain berry granola is the one that says put cold water in it, but I don't put cold water in it. That's nasty. We're gonna do hot water. I'm sure someone from Peak is gonna tell me if there's not a liner in it and they can't do hot water or something. I don't know. I'm not eating cold granola right now, but got a fire going. It felt cold last night. It felt colder last night than normal, but I guess it's not ready. I don't know. Oh man. What should I do today? I got a whole day now. I've been heading out about 3 o'clock. Well, my main focus anyway. Most of the week I've been out all day, so it hasn't been a thing, but my primary focus is going about 2, 3 o'clock and making sure I'm where I need to be. But it's a long time to sit in camp and sit with your thoughts. I forgot to bring a book. And I'll have a beer or so every once in a while, but just sitting in camp drinking beer by myself, I guess maybe to some people sounds fun. Sounds like I'm going to get dehydrated is what it sounds like. Anyway. Really don't want to just drive around and try to find another spot. I did that the other day, in the middle of the day. After the morning sit, I came back to camp and was like, I'm going to drive all the way around this mountain to the east. Maybe see what that looks like. And then funny thing is, after I got looking at the map really hard, I totally forgot. I'd seen it before though, but I forgot. I'd actually camped over there before, years ago. Like 4 years, something like that. And I was not like familiar with, but familiar with that area, and didn't even realize it, forgot all about it. So, figured that being said, really wasn't a crazy access area over there, and it's like a, I don't even know, 30 mile or something like that, or more, one way to get over there. 40 miles, something like that, I don't know. And I just didn't want to spend the time driving back and forth and between camp and there and whatever. And the road wasn't all the greatest road either, so I ended up turning around and coming back. But what should I do? Kind of feel like I'm not a big hunting celebrity person, you know what I mean? I just kind of do me and find gear that I like and whatever. But I do watch hunting shows all the time, maybe more for the entertainment and anything than listening to sponsorship ads the whole time. But and see some, you know, cool hunts in different areas that I may never get to go in my life. But I was watching this series of Dropped, and these two brothers, the Kiefer brothers, get dropped in different places and try to quasi live off the land or camp and hunt for a month or whatever it is in these remote places. And just watching them make some of the decisions and then just thinking about what I'm doing right now, it kind of reminds me of that show. I feel like I'm one of them right now. Just going, we're out here grinding, now what? What do we do next? I really have a day. I mean, like I said, the mornings kind of suck, so I don't know how much tomorrow, but debating on whether to go to that meadow or just go back up onto that same logging road area. So anyway, when I check in with you later, then I guess you'll know. That's about the time that I'll know. For now, enjoy some coffee, some granola, maybe two, I don't know, and dream about pizza and seeing a bear tonight. So, okay, see you later. Alright, as you can see, I'm back in the truck, and what a day. I had gone into that meadow, decided after all to go sit in that today, and I sat in that meadow from about 10:30 this morning until about 30 minutes ago. And the reason I left was there was I don't know if they were mountain bikers or hikers or something, and they were hooting and hollering. There is a trail somewhat close to that meadow, but man, they were yelling. It sounded like they were in the meadow. I actually thought they were in the bottom of it, and so I just packed up and was, had to pop my ears there. Wow. I was going to go down and just see what was going on, honestly, because they were carrying on so much. And I got down there and there was nobody. And I thought, well, at that point, I'd hiked out. People are screaming and yelling, carrying on. It's over at this point now. So I just hiked out, and now here I am. So it's like 8:15, 8:20, and I just decided I haven't seen anything in the mornings. For this particular trip, I'm getting a little burned out. I'm not losing the faith, just getting a little burned out right now. So I'm going to pack up camp. It should take me about 30 minutes and head on out of here. So it was a good first run, all solo. My buddy never made it, so I'm assuming he had something tie him up. Of course, I'm not in service, so I don't know. I just figured I'd see him if he showed up. If not, I'm running solo like I planned from the beginning. So did, I don't know what it is, 5.5 days solo, and just couldn't get it done. Saw one bear, and that was it. So got to come up again. I got a multi-season tag, so we'll come up maybe a different area, try something different a little bit later in the year, and see where we go from there. So that's it for part one, maybe a part two. We'll see. But yeah, it was a good trip. I saw 2 hen turkeys, both with a clutch of poults with them, so that was cool. And I got a video of one at like 2 yards. She come busting out, and all her little poults were running around at my feet. It was kind of cool. And then actually there were 3 hen turkeys, 2 in the meadow, and then I saw 3 deer in the meadow all day from like 10:30 until I left at about 8 o'clock almost. So what a trip. What a trip. Anyway, fingers crossed for part 2. See ya.